Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I have 2 yards of cotton fabric here and this is what I'll be using to recreate the style. And I have my zip here also because there's going to be a zip at the back of the dress. I'm using an invisible zipper. Now, if you want your dress to be very full, I would advise that you use between 3 yards to 4 yards of fabric depending on your size. I am starting with the front pattern and I have my basic bodice pattern on the table. The first thing you're going to do is to leave a space of 1 inch for your button allowance by the side of the pattern. You already know how to draft a basic bodice. I have my waist dart and the bust dart on the pattern. Like you already know, the allowance for the waist dart is included in the waist measurement. That is the only allowance on this pattern. The waist dart allowance is included in the pattern. I'll start by forming the neckline for this dress. From the chest line, I'll go up by 2 inches and connect that line into a straight line. This will serve as a guide for the neckline. There is going to be a joining at the underbust. What I'm going to do is to extend the underbust line into the button allowance. Now to form the neckline, I'm just going to bring in my curved ruler and place it at the 2 inches mark at the top above the chest line and connect with a curve to the chest line, just the way you see me connecting it. And that will be the neckline. I'll start cutting it now so that we can close the bust dart. From the side, I'll go in by 1.5 inches and make a mark there. I'll bring in my curve and connect from that point to the underbust line. As you are cutting out, please label your patterns in a way that you will understand, just so that you don't get confused by the time you transfer your patterns to fabric. I'll use a masking tape to hold these 2 pieces together because I want it just as a single piece. Like I said earlier, please label your patterns. Anywhere you feel like you'll be confused by the time you're transferring, you can point arrows to the top and bottom, just so you are able to understand every part of the pattern. Now I am going to add another piece of paper to the bottom part of this piece. Use a glue to stick the paper like you see me doing, and I'll connect the waistline on this new piece of paper. After connecting the waistline, I am going to extend the center front by 4 inches. I'll mark my 4 inches on the center front and I'll connect with a straight line from the side to meet the center front. After connecting, I'll cut it out. For the back pattern, you need your zip allowance on your pattern, and this is my basic bodice for the back. I have my zip allowance of 1.5 inches by the side of the pattern. The dart allowance on this pattern is already included in the waist measurements. Now, just like we extended the front pattern by 2 inches from the chest line, I am going to do the same thing on this back pattern. I'll extend the chest line upward by 2 inches and I'll connect that into a straight line. I am going to extend the dart leg into the new neckline and tighten it with 0.25 on both sides of the dart line. There is going to be a joining at the underbust line for the back also, so I'll just mark my underbust line on this back pattern and connect it into a straight line. I am closing the dart on the back pattern. I'm going to close it for the 2 pieces for the back. After cutting out the 2 pattern pieces, I drew slash lines on the upper part of the back. So I just labeled my lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and I'm going to cut it out. So draw slash lines on the upper part of the back and cut it out like you see me doing. We are going to make use of the slash and spread method for this upper part of the back. I have pinned the 2 patterns for the back on the fabric. My fabric is folded into 2. You're going to spread the back pieces, the upper part, as much as you want. For the lower part of the back, add ½ inch at the top. At the side, I used 1 inch allowance, and at the bottom, I used ½ inch allowance. So add the necessary allowance and cut it out. Here, I'm just notching where my zip will start. Also, you can notch the top part of this pieces so that you can easily identify it by the time you take out your pattern. After taking out the pattern, this is what we have for the 2 pieces for the back. I am going to gather the top part into the lower part. This is it after I was done gathering the upper part to the lower part, and I also added bone channels to the lower part of the back. I added 2 bone channels for each of the pieces. Add your bone channels before gathering the upper part to the lower part. Moving on to the front piece, I am going to make use of a slash and spread for the upper part of the front also. I am drawing slash lines on this piece, and after drawing it, I'll label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and cut it out. My fabric is folded into 2 and I will spread my pattern on it like you see me doing. You can spread your patterns as much as you want, but for this one I have about 1 inch in between each of the pattern pieces. After spreading your patterns, add allowances around the pattern. And the part where the button allowance will be, I'm going to add another 2 inches allowance to that side. Remember we have 1 inch allowance on the pattern. I am adding extra 2 inches. When I take out the pattern, I'll fold 1 inch twice for the button placket. After adding all the necessary allowance, I'll cut it out. When I said I'll fold 1 inch twice for the button placket, this is what I mean. This is what I am trying to achieve here. That is why I added extra 2 inches allowance. I have also transferred the lower part to fabric. For the button allowance here, I also added 2 inches extra. I'll be making gathers on the top part to fit into the lower part for the front, and this is what we are going to have. I'm just trimming out the excess I have on this part here. For the side here, I have 1 inch allowance, at the bottom 0.5 inch, and that is what we have. I'll take out the pattern now so that we can work on it. Like I explained earlier, I am going to fold 1 inch twice to form the button placket. Fold it in like you see me doing and repeat the same process on this other side. Fold it like that and use your pin to secure it, and I'll take it to the sewing machine and run a stitch on it. I'll take out the patterns on this upper part also, and the first thing I'm going to do is to fold in the button placket. I am going to repeat the same process I did earlier by folding 1 inch twice, use my pin to hold it together, and I will take it to the sewing machine and run a stitch on it. After I was done folding the button placket, I went ahead to create bone channels on the lower part. So I added 2 bone channels for the lower part. And for the top part, I run a gather stitch on the cup part. So I'm just going to pull in the gathers to fit into the cup area on the lower part. This is what you should have by the time you are done pulling the gathers, and you're just going to pin it on the lower part. Make sure that the right side is facing each other and use your pin to secure it together. And take it to the sewing machine and join it with 1/2 inch. For the other side of the front, I have fixed my cup, and this is what I have. So after fixing the cup, this is what you should have. I'll repeat the same process for the other side. I'm done fixing both front pieces now, and you are going to make sure that the right side overlaps on the left side. Just the way you see me placing mine, make sure that the right side overlaps on the left side and use your pin to hold it together. Trim out any excess you have at the bottom, and the next step is to bring in the back piece and join it together with the front. Place the back on the front piece, make sure that the right side is facing each other, and I'll go ahead and use 1 inch to join it together. I added 1 inch allowance to the side when I transfer the patterns to fabric. That means I am going to use 1 inch allowance to join it together. I'll do the same thing on this other side, and I'll bring it back and show you. I am done joining the side here, and this is what we have. The next step is to work on the sleeve part of this dress. I cut out these 2 pieces of fabric. The width I have there is 13 inches on fold. That means when I open it up, I have about 26 inches width, and the length is 5 inches. And I cut out 2 pieces for each of the sleeves. I'm going to use the armhole of the dress to trace out the armhole on this new piece I cut out. I'll cut it out like you see me doing, and I'm going to use this one to cut out the armhole for the second sleeve. I'll overlock the bottom part first, and I'll fold it in with 1/2 inch. After folding, I will insert my elastic into it, and I'll bring it back and show you. To determine how long the elastic should be, use your bicep measurement. Assuming your round bicep measurement is 13, you can take out 3 inches and cut out 10 inches for the elastic and insert it into the lower part of your sleeve. I have fixed my elastic to the lower part of the sleeve, and this is what I have. I have joined the other sleeve to the armhole. After joining, you can see what I have there, and I'm going to repeat the same process by joining the second sleeve to the other side of the dress. You can start by pinning where you have the joining on the sleeve to the joining on the armhole, and just pin it from one end to the other. Make sure that the right side is facing each other, and I'll take it to the sewing machine and stitch with 1/2 inch. After I was done fixing the sleeve, I went ahead to fold the neckline from the front all the way to the back. I folded it in with 1/2 inch. You're just going to fold it in with 1/2 inch to create a channel for the elastic. To determine the length of the elastic you are going to cut out, take your round shoulder with arms measurement, your round shoulder together with arms, just the same way you take your off shoulder measurement that you take it together with your hand. Take that measurement. Assuming after taking that measurement you got 44 inches, you're going to take out 3 inches from that 44 inches, that is 41. You can take out 3 inches or 4 inches. Let's assume you take out 3 inches, you're going to have 41 inches. Then the length of the elastic you are going to cut out should be 41 inches. After cutting that 41 inches for the elastic, divide that elastic into 2. You are going to fix one elastic on the right side of the dress and the second one on the left side of the dress. I have fixed my elastic on one side of the dress and I'm going to fix the second one on this part of the dress. I'll use my safety pin to insert the elastic. I'll start by inserting it from the front part and take it all the way to the back. You are going to pass the elastic along the neckline all the way to the sleeve and to the back. So take it from the front part all the way to the back. I am done fixing the elastic here and this is what we have. I will take it to the sewing machine and just run a stitch on the part where the elastic stopped. But make sure that the elastic doesn't get to the front part where you have the button allowance and also at the back where you have the zip allowance. But this is what you should have after fixing in your elastic. Here I'm just losing the stitch on the zip allowance. The next step is to fix in the boning into the casing. Use a masking tape to hold the top part of your boning before inserting it into the casing. And make sure that your boning doesn't get to the bottom. There should be a space of at least 0.5 or 0.75 at the bottom there. Your boning shouldn't get to the bottom. I am going to repeat the same process for the other bone channels. The next step is to fix the lower part to the dress. So for this lower part, the length depends on how long or short you want your dress to be. While the width I'm using here is 2 yards. I'm using the whole width of the 2 yards for the lower part of this dress. So the length depends on how long you want your dress to be. I'll take this fabric now to the sewing machine and run a gather stitch at the upper part of the fabric. After running the gather stitch, I'll make gathers on it and I'll bring it back and show you. I am done running the gathers here and I'm just going to fix it to the upper part of the dress. I'll start by pinning it from one end to the other end. Make sure to arrange the gathers nicely before pinning it to the upper part. After arranging it, you can now pin it from one end to the other end. I'll take it to the sewing machine now and use 1/2 inch to join it together. After I was done fixing the down part of the dress, I went ahead to fixing my zip at the back. Fixing your zip and overlock all the inner seams. Make sure that everything is neat, and also for the bottom part, I hemmed it with 1/2 inch. You can decide to add lining to the lower part of this dress to give it a bit of fullness. You can add lining to it. I didn't add lining to mine, but if you want extra fullness on the lower part, add lining. The last step for this dress is to fix in the button and the buttonhole. So the buttonhole is going to be on the right side while your button will be on the left side. You can do a space of 1.5 inches or 2 inches in between each of the buttons. The buttonhole will be on the right side while your button will be on the left side. And that will be all for this dress. Thank you guys for watching. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, leave a comment, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Please turn on your notification bell, the bell icon down below, so that you will get notified anytime I upload a new video. Will you be recreating the style? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.